All right, folks, good evening to you all. Welcome to another date on the Journalist Hangout Show. I am Citizen Jones Hussein. Today on the program, court orders INEC to issue certificate of return to Okorocha. President Buhari meets with governors and security chiefs over insecurity in the country. And later on, battle for deputy Senate presidency intensifies as Goje steps down for Lawan. I'm hanging out with Adekunle Yusuf.
I'm happy to be.
Good evening to you.
Good evening.
So we can say the Ramadan is over, so we are ready for business.
Fully.
Good, welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
And there, of course, is Emeka Madonago. I greet you.
Viewers, thank you for it.
So the team is ready. I hope you are. You know, to the politician, truth is never an objective. Election and power are. You know, immediate past Imo State Hemsman Rochas Okorocha is on the threshold of a new life after office. He may yet be a member of the Red Chamber, helping to make laws for you and I. Justice Okun Abang of the Federal High Court, Abuja, has ordered the INEC, the Independent National Electoral Commission, to issue him with a certificate of return as an elected senator from Imo State. This is after the court dismissed the preliminary objections of the first, second, and third defendants in the case, challenging the jurisdiction of the court because it's a pre-election matter. Emeka, never say die for the politician.
Yeah. I was on this program on, I think, 25th of April when we discussed this matter. And I said that INEC has no powers to arrest the decision of the electorate. Those who willingly went to the polls to cast their ballots had a right to be told who won.
Yeah.
And so INEC was just mandated by law to play the role of an umpire. So INEC cannot be the prosecutor, the judge, and the jury in his own case, because it's alleging that Rochas forced its one of his officials, the returning officer, to declare him winner under duress.
The returning officer did say on tape, yes, I was under duress.
Yeah, you see, you cannot be a judge in your own case.
Okay, it's all right. I hear we have something to show you, but let Yusuf open his account here.
Yeah, I think I'm on the same page with Emeka.
Okay.
Reason being that when the thing happened at the time, I was extremely, unhappy. INEC under Professor Yakubu is becoming, increasingly dangerous in the way it does its business, because you cannot be the judiciary and the executive at the same time. What INEC did at the time was the height of impunity.
No, break it down for the viewer. What did he do?
What did he do? INEC went ahead to announce the then governor of Imo State as winner of that election, the senatorial election. Then later, the same INEC turned around to say, no, when we announced it was because somebody put our official, under duress. And on account of this, you are no longer the winner. Unfortunately, the same INEC couldn't go ahead to choose somebody else to announce. So at the end of the day, what happens? Does it mean in a few days' time, when the National Assembly is proclaimed into life, people in that part of Imo State,
Imo West.
Yes, Imo West in particular, we not have a representative in the National Assembly to decide, who their Senate president and all those things. And later when they begin, proceedings, nobody from that part of the country, of the state, will be part of it. That is not a good, INEC. And as far as I'm concerned, it says a lot of things about the leadership of INEC that we have right now. It says a lot about the so-called independence that INEC, enjoys,
okay,
as we sit.
You say it's so-called, but it's pictures don't tell lies. Let's turn things over to Okorocha now. Watch this.
What I want to see is for INEC to investigate the claim by the returning officer and take a decision. The problem with INEC has to do with its inconsistency. In Bauchi State, Tafa Balewa local government to be precise, the returning officer claimed that she was harassed and induced to enter the figures that she entered in respect of that local government. And INEC went ahead to cancel the electoral process in that local government.
Ideally.
And that was, in my view, the right thing to do. And it went ahead because where you have doubts about the fidelity of the process, it makes sense to cancel the process. And INEC went ahead and conducted a rerun in that area.
West.
What we have in Imo is similar to that. The returning officer says, he feared for the lives of members of his family, that he was under duress. That's what we had, that he said. And INEC decided to hold on to Okorocha's certificate of return. Even in the case of Okorocha, an announcement had been made. The ideal thing to do is to say, okay, we're organizing a fresh election. And not to simply leave everything in abeyance, leave all of us guessing what his next action will be. So if you are not sure that Okorocha deservedly won the election, why don't you just do a rerun? Because the people of Olu district, where he comes from, deserve to be represented, whether by him or by the person who is next to him.
That's it.
But we have a situation in which no decision has been taken. You just left everyone in a quandary. I don't think it makes sense to behave in this way.
INEC cannot be seen to, quote unquote, be arresting the result of the election. On one hand, you've already you've already shown your hand that you believe Rochas didn't win the election. Because, like what Rochas Okorocha said, that you can't engage in bad behavior and be expected to be rewarded. So, why not cancel the election? Order a rerun. Or
if it is within what the electoral law says.
It is within.
It is.
If they did that in Atafa Balewa, why can't they do it?
Or
it's basically the same
award him
scenario.
the certificate and let the matter go to the tribunal.
Emeka, it's both of you and Jide, behave like prophets. And so nobody thinks you played any fast game. But again, facts are sacred. Only comment is free.
Yes. Well, of course, I still maintain my stance then. And the learned Justice Okonabang, said the same thing, that you cannot arrest the result of an election after declaring it. It's not, you will be hurting.
It's like in football, you announce the goal.
The goal.
Not to worry, but
no, it's not exactly the same. The VAR, yes. The VAR. Yeah. But the thing was, INEC should have taken a decision immediately. If it was unsure that Rochas deserved to have been declared as the winner of the election, he should have taken a decision. It was within his powers to say, okay, that the election will be cancelled. But he kept quiet and allowed the efflux of time. Then other things began to pile up on it, and then it wasn't any longer simply the case of what Rochas Okorocha, an official of INEC, said, rewarding bad behavior. But it was, he now made Rochas become like a victim. Okay. And so the whole situation took a different dimension.
You see, for INEC, ordering a rerun at the time would have cost it more.
But the same INEC...
Logistics and related matters.
But the same INEC was organizing reruns virtually everywhere.
Yeah, but
around at the same time, even including presidential election. They are doing things supplementary,
but you make
inconclusive.
supplementary provisions for it.
At the time?
Each time you are going to have a rerun, money is spent on logistics and related matters, as I just said.
Up till now, I haven't seen any supplementary,
all right.
Was there a need? Was there a need for supplementary
Don't forget that we are in the era of inconclusive elections now.
That the Okorocha's thing, the election was not an inconclusive one.
It was concluded.
But that is by law. It wasn't an inconclusive election.
Okay.
But when there are, by INEC's position, there is no winner, because when you refuse to give certificate of return to the assumed winner, it means there is no winner.
No.
So, but now the court has decided that what INEC has done is absolute illegality, that it has no basis in the Electoral Act, it has no basis in the Constitution, and that what INEC is doing is like turning itself to the court as well as the executive, which is
Emeka, this is not to say that acts like the returning officer claimed he was under duress, he was forced to do what he did at the time. We should not overlook such things. They say somebody has set fire to a house, you leave the fellow, and then you go after the fellow who raised the alarm. If you understand my logic here.
Yeah, I get you. It's just like the case that arose between the federal government under Obasanjo and Lagos State over the creation of local government. For example, what the Supreme Court said, that the process is incoherent. The process has not been concluded. So it should be concluded with the listing of those local governments in the Constitution. So the same thing, you had announced Rochas as the winner. So the process had to be completed with the issuance of a certificate of return to him. But if you knew that the announcement of Rochas, that there were reasons not to complete it, then you should have just put an end to it. You shouldn't have allowed it to just develop a life of its own, and then it became something like you were victimizing him. Okay, there were some political interests, working on INEC, not to allow Rochas to go to the Senate, and all kinds of things started coming up. And then even you even saw certain comments, which tended to make the case look like it was already before the tribunal. Okay. Whereas what Rochas was looking for was, conclude this process, issue me my certificate of return. It's not about, if there are issues about the conduct of the election, it should be taken to the tribunal. That has been my stand.
I had to be re-educated concerning post-election matters, this does not need to get to the Supreme Court. Only perhaps... I'm saying...
This matter.
Is this the first leg? Are we expecting the appellate court to come in here?
Unless it's INEC. Because this matter has to do with INEC. The other petitioners who joined the matter, you saw what what the court said. The court awarded damages against them and said they should pay the money to Rochas immediately, each of them 100,000. And then INEC should pay 200,000 to Rochas. That showed just what I was saying. They had damaged his interest. They had hurt his interest so badly because they allowed the matter to take a different dimension.
Yusuf, we must digress a little, and we must go there. Okay. I'm getting worried because politicians are messing up the process, allowing the court in the land, the courts in the land, be the arbiter instead of the ballot box, which is supposed to be sacrosanct. That's a worry. I don't know if you share my grief here.
I think to some extent, but not only the politicians.
No, let's talk about the electoral process.
Okay, the electoral process,
okay, if I might rub this in, Zamfara never prepared for what hit them at the end of the day. Yet it is the politician that took the innocent voter in Zamfara into that cauldron. So allowing courts and not the ballot box to be the sole determinant, the final arbiter, is dangerous.
Well, I don't see any danger in that, in the sense that the judiciary is meant to right all the wrongs, to do justice in every issue. So if somebody has refused to do the right thing and the court comes in to right the wrongs, I don't see any danger.
You're not worried about the...
There's no danger.
What I might call a judicialization of the electoral process.
You can name it anyhow.
Okay.
Unless you are telling me that what the judiciary is doing is against the constitution of Nigeria.
No.
As long as, as long as the judiciary is doing the right thing, is righting the wrongs, is doing justice, believe me, we should give kudos to the judiciary. Since we entered in, this dispensation, we owe the fact that our democracy is still subsisting because, we owe it to the judiciary. Right. If you are left it to the politicians, they don't care, even if the end comes today. They want to achieve their interest, their aim, and their target. That's all. What happens after, most of them don't care. Let me tell you, what INEC should have done in this matter is, you said, so forced me to do this. It means you have the authentic result. That's the assumption. Then if you do, why don't you go ahead to say, no, this is what I was asked to do under duress, then this is the true position, and whoever is not happy with it should approach the court. That should have been the... But you kept quiet, you didn't do anything, you just allowed matter to just be like that in a democracy. That's impunity.
All right, Emeka, it will just be as well if you concur. I'm wondering if you can see what I'm seeing.
No, I just want to say that if you remember 19 years ago, the U.S. presidential election, between, I think, was it George Bush and Al Gore, was decided by the Supreme Court.
So we have company. we have company now. Yes. Victor is reaching us from Ogun State. Victor, welcome.
Yes.
Yeah, let's go.
Good evening, Jones.
I greet you, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. I want to align myself with your submission. The issue of allowing the politician to judicialize our democracy is a bad trend. You will notice that if things continue the way it continues, like Adekunle submission that the judiciary are righting the wrongs, I disagree. What about the voters in Zamfara State that actually voted their desired candidate? What becomes of their votes? Did the judiciary take their interest into consideration? You remember the judgment that was given in the case of defection of some of the lawmakers in the red and green chamber. The court posited that except those that voted that has interest in the matter comes forward. I believe the judiciary should have ordered a total rerun or a fresh election in Zamfara State. Even if they are going to exclude the APC candidate, the fact that the majority of the Zamfara people voted for their choice person, and
we are
I want to say
leaving a dangerous precedent.
No,
if at every turn the judiciary must be the Daniel come to judgment.
Yeah, but our democracy is growing. It's just
really? 20 years.
Is growing. And don't forget.
20 years,
don't forget.
You are a stillborn and you tell me you are growing.
It's not stillborn.
Okay.
It is getting better. Our democracy is getting better. The last amendment, the outgone, the 8th National Assembly had tried to address issues similar to this. If you remember, where it said that if something arises and makes it impossible for an election to be concluded, there were certain recommendations in the amendment bill, but President Muhammad Buhari refused to sign that amendment. Yeah. So I hope that the 9th National Assembly will actually revisit the Electoral Act. We look at that and look at issues similar to that, so that when there is an issue like this, the Electoral Act will just specify what should be done. So it wouldn't be an institution where we'll be shopping for.
I don't want to be
for
Emeka and Yusuf, I don't want to be seen as belaboring the matter. You can tell me that there are cases, electoral matters dating back to 2010, still before the courts. We should have, in 20 years, crossed more than 20 hurdles.
Yes, but
I'm sorry.
But a few minutes ago, you said here that politicians should also allow the process to grow.
Yes.
But the issue is that the process will not grow all by itself. It will need the input of the politicians and of Nigerians to succeed. Why I say the process is, the democracy is growing is that we are now saying things that we never even thought about. Things that, you know, things we never believe could arise, that INEC could declare winner and then refuse to issue a certificate of return. And I'm wondering, since Okorocha stepped down as the governor of Imo State, his tenure ran out, why hasn't he been arrested by either the police or the DSS based on a complaint by INEC for threats to
formal complaint?
Yeah, formal complaint. Why hasn't INEC filed a formal complaint? Okay. And Rochas ought to have been arrested by now, if INEC indeed has a genuine case.
Don't induce any arrest, please. Let's do our job here. But Ahmed is waiting patiently in Plateau. I greet you, Ahmed. Welcome.
Hello, good evening.
I greet you. Let's go.
Okay, hello, good evening.
Good evening. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I want to agree with the Victor. I want to align with what Adekunle and America have said regarding the judiciary have their guideline, which is the Constitution. So they rule based on that. They don't just rule on their own. They have a guideline, which is the Constitution. So they rule based on that. So I want to ask that, my thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Adekunle.
You see, in this matter, when you try to blame the politicians and you believe that what judiciary is doing is becoming, as you said, dangerous for us, I disagree totally. Let me tell you, because in a democracy, it's not only the executive that should run the show. So when the executive and those who are not even the executive misbehave, the onus is on the judiciary to change the things that are perceived to be wrong.
Adekunle, I defer to you.
I'm coming. In this matter,
yeah.
Are you sure a lot, justice has been done to the people of Imo West by INEC? Certainly no. You can give...
Are you sure justice was done or not done in Zamfara State?
I'll come there. Believe me, what happened in Imo State is a little bit different from the Zamfara State. In Imo State, INEC, not individuals. The electoral umpire, not individuals, not a political party. You know, what INEC did was totally wrong. So now, the court has been able to solve that. In Zamfara State, it's a totally different matter. You see total impunity on the part of political party bigwigs. By law, you do this on by so time.
Politicians, generally.
Yes, but you know, by so time you do this. You didn't do it, then you still went ahead to still want to contest the election. In Zamfara State, INEC had no blame. INEC did the very best. I commended INEC on Zamfara State, but because some people knew how to manipulate the process, they got the... It was 9 minutes that...
people. Not some people, some politicians.
You understand?
But again, I'm saying since we are...
But what the Supreme Court did was to say now...
We are aping America. Let's go the whole hog. In America, I hardly hear this particular case has ended at the Supreme Court or at the High Court and so on. Politicians must behave.
But the presidential election of 2000
we are not
just one in so many.
Citizen. Let me explain to you. There is no, you cannot hate America because Americans are not Nigerians. By our democracy, we take our culture, we take our everything to what we do. And we are not like them.
But INEC,
hold on, I have a gentleman who might support you. There's Shegun in Lagos here. Shegun, I greet you.
Hello.
Welcome, Shegun.
Hello.
Yeah, welcome.
Yes, please, I could see the way you are discussing democracy. You talk about the executive, you talk about the judiciary, and then also the legislature. But you never talk about the electorate.
Okay.
Now the question is, the people in Zamfara, are they being governed by those elected? Which is the anchor of democracy. So I think, well, I know the politicians misbehaved, INEC misbehaved, but for Zamfara to get their choice, there ought to be a rerun.
And that rerun,
Will the Supreme Court not be doing justice?
Hold on.
Wait, will the Supreme Court not be doing injustice to those political parties that
we must go,
all the law?
gentlemen. Don't take the wind from the sail. I beg. Okay.
Well, all right. To Rochas.
Congrats to
Rochas.
Congratulations to Rochas. At least for the moment.
For the moment, yeah.
He's eyeing a seat in the red chamber. Okay, we move on. President Buhari meets governors and security chiefs over insecurity in the country. Please stay tuned for that. Okay, then let's go on. Contending with unnerving insecurity in a supposed peacetime is the most crushing experience. And of course, one way of tackling it is to take new risks. President Muhammadu Buhari met with state chief executives and security chiefs at the Aso Rock Presidential Villa, Abuja. The closed-door session is expected to tinker with far-reaching decisions aimed at effectively checkmating the expanding menace of kidnapping, invading herdsmen, and of course, the breathtaking activities of Boko Haram insurgency. All hands on deck. That's the name of the game. Decisions reached must be far-reaching.
Yes, but the early reports emerging from the meeting between the president and the governors was that the governors were divided on the issue of state and local government police. That some of them were talking about the funds to pay. I mean, that they were having issues with paying salaries and pensions, that this would be an additional body. But I just laugh because is there any state today that is not operating state police in one form or the other? Is there any state that doesn't have
uniform
vigilance, a vigilance outfit? Is there any state that doesn't have traffic corps? Is there any state that doesn't have what you call Kai Brigade?
Neighborhood watch.
Neighborhood watch.
Yeah,
no, even Kai Brigade. I mean, going to markets,
Yeah.
seizing wares, arresting traders, arresting people crossing highways and all. Is there any state where you don't have such? Now, those things are some of the structures that will come under state police. And then in the local government, you already have some form of community policing. In the markets, markets have police, internal police. So what are we talking about? It's just about semantics. It's just about the nomenclature. You say, oh, state police will be this, will be that. It is something that needs to be debated extensively so that we can free the Nigeria police of the burden of securing all of us. I mean, you just have about 370,000 policemen.
Officers and men.
Officers and men. And you have to take away a substantial number to guard VIPs, to guard politically exposed persons. Now, when you take away that, how many are remaining? And then even at 370,000 to 200 million Nigerians, that's about 5,000. One policeman to about 5,000 Nigerians. I mean, what kind of human being would police 5,000 individuals? So the point is this: at this point in our nationhood, we need to tinker with a number of things. We need to also look at revenue allocation, because the federal government cannot continue to hold on to 52.6% of the nation's of the monthly allocation.
The lion's share.
Yeah, the federal government should also. It's commendable the way President Buhari is trying to ensure that local governments have autonomy. But for me, I believe
we are talking about the immediate.
Yes.
Immediate.
Yeah. For me, yes. It's also in line with that if local governments are allowed to control their funds, but it should go through a constitution amendment. But again, if we arrive at that safely, then what it means is that local governments should be given more funds and they should be given more powers so that issues like security will be dealt with at the grassroots. These criminals live in communities. They live in different different areas. Yes. So you see, you cannot expect the Inspector General of Police to sit in Abuja and know where a kidnapper resides or where a cultist resides and all of that. And then the feedback mechanism, there's so many things in it. But where you have different levels of policing operating in the country, it will be very easy to nip these things in the bud. And then again, the federal government must make up its mind about herdsmen. Because they have been accused several times, and with evidence, they have been seen to be engaged in kidnapping and other types of crime. The federal government must make up its mind about these people. Something must be done. They must not be allowed to roam free, because these problems have been there. Remember, when Obasanjo was the president, there was the problem of cross-border crime, but he pretended as if it wasn't any issue until his daughter was almost killed by cross-border robbers, by cross-border bandits. What happened? He shut the border immediately and then held a meeting with the president of Benin Republic. And within a short time, there was an alleged kingpin was caught and taken out of circulation.
Meaning that, Yusuf, it can be done.
It can be done, but not this, this direction we are facing. Because when you look at what is happening right now, we are just doing the wrong things. To handle insecurity matters in Nigeria, you really need true federalism. And what do I mean? The presidency is talking about local government funding, local government policing. No. That's not the best way. In a democracy, especially in a federalism, it's only two, entities that are in business: the federal and the state. Let each state decide whatever happens within its enclave. Now, the president is meeting with service chiefs, and you have governors. And some of these governors are not favorably disposed to the idea of state police, local government autonomy. And not. You know why? Because it is not being done properly. The fair job to do is the presidency shouldn't be part of it. It is the national legislature and the states.
Part of security.
Believe me, because
like
you need the law first. Okay. Because the law, we have to create the template. Number one, a state like Lagos...
security is festering.
Please let me give my point.
Okay, go on.
You see, what we are doing right now, a state like Lagos can decide what it wants to do. It can take care of its life totally in terms of security. You may do it that if out of 50 people, you have only 30 who are ready to go, you can give it as... That's democracy. They will join later. They can do whatever later. If you see our union, Western region, Eastern region, we didn't achieve independence at the same time. Those who wanted it immediately, went for it. Later, some others did what? They joined. We can go the same way. But when the federal government is talking about state police, is talking about local government police, local government, no, you go from one problem and create another problem. Reason being that the best way to do it is between the state governments and the federal government. Now we want to have state police.
Yusuf, we have company. Sulaiman is reaching us from your state.
No, I'm not from Oyo.
No, it's come on. All right, Sulaiman, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Okay then.
This issue of federalism, I don't think we should allow it to be kind of thing that precludes us from facing reality. When you talk about federalism, some people will say it is only 2 units that federate. Where is the law stating that? Our Constitution recognizes 3 tiers of government. Why don't we go ahead and recognize that in our activities, in our intergovernmental relations? To give financial autonomy, does it necessarily mean to confer federating unit status? Behold, the central bank has financial autonomy. The NNPC has financial autonomy. The judiciary, the National Assembly, they have financial autonomy. Are they then federating units? Give financial autonomy to local government areas. That doesn't necessarily make them equal federating units as states. And now on security, why would you want to preclude local government where everybody resides?
Okay.
Okay. I think I would need to say some things because some people didn't get a lot of things. When we say federating units, local governments are not involved, people didn't understand the real point. The real point is that it is an aberration for the federal government in Abuja, sending money to the local governments. It is never done anywhere. So all the examples our friend was giving, please, is out of it. In America, in other places where they have federalism, you see the state and the federal government can decide whatever happens, but at the state level, the state and the House of Assembly, they decide what they do with their local governments. When you use local government as one of the bases for sharing revenue at the national level, that is an aberration. In the Lagos State,
maybe we are talking about a Nigerian type democracy.
There is no Nigerian. You don't have Nigerian type of democracy. Is one, and now you said it on this program that we are helping America. If today we are doing that, then we need to take the beauty of federalism. The beauty of federalism does not mean that federal government will create local government and list it in the constitution. Which constitution are we talking about? A constitution that should have been, repackaged and let the people decide what they want to do. Let me tell you, for now, Lagos State may decide to say, I want to have 100 local government. The State Assembly will do everything along with the executive. And how they are funded, how they are run, how they are managed will be the business. So the Lagos State may decide now go further to say, okay, after I've achieved this for my local government, I want to go a step further to also include them in the security, system. That I want them to have, police. The university I attended in America, anytime I do this, the university has police. We're fully equipped functional police. The county, that's the local government, has police. The state capital, that is what you call your, if this is, this is K2 now, there will be police, not K2 local government.
Okay.
Then state will have its own, even then federal. One day I was working on my phone and mistakenly I pressed 911. So they will call you, so before you reach 1, count 10. You will see cars coming from here, police, and you realize that all the vehicles are not the same. This is federal, this is state, this is this, this is that, just because of one call. And they've so much synergized the entire thing that just one call, everybody gets it.
Emeka, the beauty of this is those of them who have been there. I have not been there. It sounds plausible, very beautiful. Yeah. But are we ready for that here?
There is no sincerity in our...
Are we ready?
There is no better time to be ready than when the problem has got us in a bad
Now we have insecurity in supposed peacetime.
Yes.
So this is when we leave what your coach, talking football now, they say in soccer, it gets to a stage where the players will say, oh boy, forget coach, let's win this game.
Get it,
so we are there now.
Yes, but you see, we are partially at war. We're fighting with Boko Haram, and the government is spending a lot of money on that. And so you find out that the economy is in a bad shape. So you have attendant problems, arising from economic issues, social dislocations. A lot of people have lost their jobs, businesses shut down, companies are downsizing, companies are shutting down, and all of that. So, and then again, you find out that the social unit, families have collapsed, a lot of problems. So the government needs to find some new solutions to these problems. You can imagine when you have teenagers involved in cult wars, in gang wars.
All right.
You have to find a solution closer to the root of the problems.
All right. So the viewer must understand the problem has gotten to the doorstep, and so we must change our styles. I wish the federal government and the security chiefs very well. The 9th Senate is due for inauguration on June 11. And the #1 citizen has duly issued a proclamation to the epoch. While the Senate presidency appears to be a near fait accompli, the deputy Senate presidency is more like walking a tightrope. The intriguing scenario is that the keenly contested position of Deputy Senate President throws up two likely candidates, ostensibly on the good side of the presidency's love-hate relationship with the National Assembly. Here you have former Abia State Governor Rochas Okorocha, OUK, and Delta Central Senator Ovie Omoagege. They are the frontrunners and are believed to have warmed themselves to the heart of the president. Next level on my mind?
You forgot to add Rochas Okorocha. Because with the...
Adam for me.
The judgment, caught him on our way.
Rochas has joined even the front runner.
Yeah, but he can't be a front runner. If he got his certificate from day one.
I will tell you why it's a front runner now. Let me tell you. Before Danjuma Goje stepped down, people thought Lawan is the front runner. No, it was Danjuma Goje. He wasn't making noise, but most PDP votes would have got to him. Okay. Number one, yes. In fact, most of them pledged their allegiance, secretly. That is one. Then two, you have about 20 former governors in the Senate that will be going to this Senate. And they are very, very wealthy and powerful. They've decided that they want one of them to be the Senate president. That is Danjuma Goje. So whether you are in the PDP or you are in the APC, that's another block vote for him. And they have, connections virtually everywhere. Then, all of a sudden, the APC, became wiser. They decided to bring Danjuma Goje to the President Muhammadu Buhari that, please, step down. There will be this, there will be this, there will be that, and open. And part of what is on the card, I won't say all,
I mean, the Attorney General's office has said it will take over his prosecution from the EFCC.
But he spent 8 years as governor of, Gombe State. The EFCC issue is there. Then two, is going to chair the most important committee of the Senate. You know what I mean by that?
I don't know. Tell them.
And the appropriation committee. So now this is where I'm going. I just said all this. Now that Danjuma Goje is out, the race of deputy Senate president, nobody can change that one. It's going to go to a former governor.
Okay.
Wow. Ovie Omoagege was initially, which would have been the,
perhaps the...
But because of the Senate miss, brouhaha of, I think, was it last year or the year before the last year?
August, yeah.
So, and the roles he played, most senators, either in the APC or in the PDP, are yet to forgive him. So now, it would have been no contest, for...
Omoagege.
Not even Omoagege. Now we are talking about Rochas Okorocha.
Yeah.
But with Okorocha, is also a former governor. So with Okorocha now, also of APC, the job is, you can imagine, is good. The race between deputy Senate president is now between, as far as I'm concerned, is between Rochas Okorocha and Okorocha, effectively.
Okay. So in other words, we're saying the Southeast appears unstoppable in the run-up.
Yeah, well, like they say, 24 hours in politics is a long time.
Oh, it is.
Then we have more than 24 hours to Tuesday when the final decision will be announced. But I think the position of the Southeast has been strengthened. Of course, in politics, you also have to talk about consensus. It's not just about people saying, oh, the Southeast didn't support APC, but there's the other strand of the argument that says that President Muhammadu Buhari, that for the first time, President Muhammadu Buhari got 25% in, some states of about 3 or 4 states in the Southeast.
Yeah.
So that, yes.
Enugu.
Yes. So,
and
I think Anambra, yes. So that definitely That is a plus. You cannot say the Southeast didn't support APC. I mean, so if the people at the other levels, the senatorial, the reps...
I keep wondering if the Southeast nicking the Deputy Senate Deputy Senate President seat is a big deal after all, because the outgoing or outgone Deputy Senate President was also from the region.
Well, it is debatable. It depends on who is looking at it. I mean, but
it's
definitely
not the office, but the man.
Well, yes, it's also about the influence that the man, the occupant, can bring to the table. Yes, bring to the table. I think Ike Ekweremadu could have. I think Ike Ekweremadu could have done much better than he did. As Deputy Senate President. But the other thing I want to talk about is that, I mean, we should always look at politics in the national interest.
Yeah.
It's not just about, the South is clinching it, as if all the things that the Deputy Senate President will do will just be for the Southeast. He's going to
Yusuf is an interested party. Now
I said this, I'm just adding to what Emeka said. You know, when you look at it from the position of our, people from the Southeast, they want to see what that section of Nigeria gets from the ruling party. They don't believe that President Muhammadu Buhari's APC gave them Ekweremadu, because Ekweremadu came in on behalf of PDP.
All right.
Now, if either Rochas Okorocha or Okorocha gets it, the feeling will change, because it is what they will see as what they've got from the APC. That's just the only difference.
Yeah, and also in
because if it goes to the opposition and the opposition gets it again, I'm just talking, which I don't think is going to happen, they will still continue to say the same thing, that the ruling party doesn't care about them. But you understand me? It's likely to continue that way, but I don't see it happening.
If you remember in the run-up to the election. To the election, 2015 election. There was this idea that Ngige, Dr. Chris Ngige, stood a good chance, to become the Senate president. But he was defeated by Uche Ekunife. And if you look at it in terms of, political weight, you couldn't have pushed an Uche Ekunife, over and above an Ngige. But, well, that's the nature of politics
in Nigeria.
That's the nature of politics. Even all over the world. You see, otherwise, I mean, Theresa May will not be stepping down, as British Prime Minister.
Do they step down here? Do they step down here? But go on.
Well,
give me one.
Step down. We will get
because
there.
we can't. We will get there. Okay. I cannot forget to take you to Zamfara. Zamfara was almost home and dry until Senator Marafa became the clog in the wheel.
Well, that is also the nature of politics.
In Nigeria.
When you are playing your politics,
you
must also watch your back. You don't just, see in front of you. You must also watch your back. And then you must play your game very well. You must be a team player, so that you don't leave some people disenchanted, disgruntled, and angry.
That's it.
To the extent that they can damage your political agenda. We must stop making that.
Yusuf, as we begin to take it home, the Deputy Senate President is the number 5 citizen of the country, very weighty position. So the post goes to a Southeast son, a son from the Southeast, either Okorocha or Rochas Okorocha. So the bargain, it's...
No, add over Omar Agege to it, because the election has not been done. We can't really mount totally.
But you've been done, knock them out now. So,
but
I'm saying, mine is why I play Senator Omar Agege. Please don't hold this against me. Omar Agege is from the South-South. The chairman of the party is South-South. Does it matter?
It does.
It does.
It does.
So let's talk about Southeast. Yeah, the number 5 man in the country is very powerful.
In this time...
Because he's a potential Senate president. When his boss is not there, he takes over.
He takes over. Even sometimes it takes over, even when the boss is around, they can decide to do. But what we are saying, it matters now because of the complaints of the past. The Southeasterners have been very vociferous about the assumption that the ruling party doesn't care about them.
Yeah.
Now, that is about to change now. I don't see it. I don't see why it won't work, because if Rochas Okorocha gets it or Okorocha, both of them are former governors.
But both
that
of them,
is one.
but
both
listen,
of them are first timers. I'm coming. Both of them will also be first timers. You know, and
Oji was in the House of Reps.
Was being the governor of, you know, Abia State in 1999 to 2007. And since that time, he has never taken any political office. Then our man, Okorocha, started his own political, you know, ambition by wanting to be the president.
Yeah.
That didn't work. You know, you remember that flamboyant campaign. That didn't work.
So because time is tight, both of them, any of them will fit the bill, because they are
perfectly. As far as I'm concerned, it serves the interest of the ruling party. It serves the interest of everybody. If either of Rochas Okorocha or Okorocha wins the deputy Senate president slot, because there won't be any basis permanently for anybody to say the ruling party doesn't care about the Southeast.
Yeah.
No, for me, you see, Ovioma Agege is a risky factor, because his election is still before the courts.
Yeah.
It's still before the courts. And so
may I drop this in? I hope it doesn't become like tainting the water. Rochas Okorocha has a case too.
No, his own case is about which faction of the APC ought to have presented candidates for the election.
It does not have a date with the
risky.
EFCC?
No, but Ike Ekweremadu had an issue, but he never stopped him from. He never stopped him from operating. But no, I'm looking at the danger, the political danger, because if the Supreme Court rules that Ovioma Agege's faction ought not to have presented candidates, then what it means is that you got a victory on Monday, and on Tuesday it was taken away from you. Who will play such a dangerous political game?
All right, so we must pack it all in for today and the week, not before thanking Adekunle Yusuf. Thank you.
I'm happy to be here.
Good to see you.
Glad to be here.
Emeka Madonago.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy your weekend.
Thank you very much. God bless Nigeria.
So we must, that will be it for today. Watch the program on other platforms we'll show on the screen now, and on YouTube too, at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. The feedback channel remains the same. I am Citizen Jones Hussein. Bye-bye now. Take care.